This is CNN Breaking News.
Michael Jackson, 50 years old, the king of pop, has died.
As news of Michael Jackson's death sent shockwaves around the globe, the search for answers was just beginning.
We're just looking for any evidence of foul play or anything like that.
Within hours, investigators were on the scene of Jackson's Hollywood mansion. They soon discovered the singer had his own personal pharmacy. Some of the prescription drugs were labeled, many were not. The extent of Michael Jackson's drug use was starting to emerge. Some of his closest friends and family were stunned.
I only knew of what he was taking to sleep. That's it. Now, hearing all these other things, which I can't even pronounce the words, I wasn't aware. If that led to dependency on anything else, I wouldn't know. But I'm just saying that every time I saw Michael, he was 1,000% coherent. 1,000%. With a smile on his face.
Michael's addiction did run much deeper, and many within his inner circle were aware.
He certainly wasn't worried about concealing it.
Gautam Chopra was a personal friend of Jackson.
He knew endless doctors and he knew how to manipulate certain systems. He also had many doctors who were always willing to write new prescriptions, and they just wanted to be around him, and they wanted that aura of his attention.
Gautam's father, physician Deepak Chopra, says Michael once asked him to write a prescription for a narcotic.
I said I wasn't going to write a prescription. And when I confronted him, he started to cry. He said, you don't understand, I'm in a lot of pain.
Chopra says he feared for Jackson's health, so along with a member of Michael's family, he arranged an intervention.
He was so upset, angry, lost into a temper, left the room.
According to biographer Randy Taraborelli, Michael Jackson was first introduced to prescription drugs in 1984. Jackson's scalp was severely burned during the filming of this Pepsi commercial.
I was at the hospital that night, and I remember the doctors saying that they were trying to give him pain medication back then, and he would not take it. And that ultimately he did take some because the pain was so great, but that was a big issue.
When do you think the drug use started?
I believe that a lot of it had to do with the stress of the 1993 allegations.
In 1993, Michael Jackson was accused of sexually molesting a 13-year-old boy. Jackson strongly denied the allegations during a televised statement.
I'm particularly upset by the handling of this mass matter, an incredible, terrible mass matter.
But eventually settled the case for $20 million. No charges were ever filed. During that same televised statement, Jackson also admitted publicly he had a drug addiction.
As you already know, after my tour ended, I remained out of the country undergoing treatment for a dependency on pain medication.
Those allegations in 93, the first set of allegations, began the ruination of Michael.
10 years later, more accusations of child molestation. This time, there would not be a settlement. Charges were filed, a highly publicized trial followed. Faced with the possibility of prison, Jackson was in the fight for his life. The stress took a toll, even though he was cleared of all charges.
What did you see in his eyes?
I could see in his eyes that he was dying, that he was gone already. On verdict day, he was not there. He was so vacant.
Following the verdict in 2005, Jackson spent the next 4 years focused on his children. 6 months before his death, Michael Jackson met nurse practitioner Sherilyn Lee. She came to Jackson's home to treat one of his kids for a cold. One day, Lee says Jackson asked her to help him sleep. She agreed to stay over and monitor his sleeping pattern.
This is 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Because I said, call me so I can kind of monitor and see what's going on. So he slept for about 3.5 hours, and then he jumped up. He looked at me with his eyes wide open, and I said, Michael, you okay? He said, yes, but I just want you to see I can't sleep.
Lee says Michael requested propofol, a drug few people had heard of. It is a powerful anesthetic that's only used in operating rooms or other clinical settings. Propofol isn't available as a pill. It can only be given intravenously. It puts a patient out almost instantly.
I looked at him, and that was the first time I got this chill through my body. And I said, Michael, if you take that medicine, you might not wake up.
Weeks later, Lee heard from Michael Jackson one final time. He wanted to see her right away. The singer complained that one side of his body was cold, the other was hot.
I said, you know, I can't come, Michael. You need to go to the hospital. You need to go to the hospital.
Just 4 days later, Michael Jackson was dead.
Michael was a tortured soul. 10 years ago, he said to me, have you heard of this thing that takes you to the edge of the valley of death and then brings you back from there?
Next,
I wasn't the doctor.
what happened the last hours of Michael Jackson's life?
Why was he left alone? There's a lot of questions.